Google Antigravity has taken internet by storm. You can use it to create all sorts of things, but only if you know how. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can start using Google Antigravity if you've never coded or even vibe coded before. But make sure you stick around until the end because I'm also going to share one little trick that you can use to immediately 10x the quality of whatever Antigravity gives you. And this alone will easily put you ahead of 95% of vibe coders out there. And that's surprisingly something that not many tutorials out there mention. So let's get into it. So this is what Antigravity looks like. And I think the best way to show you how everything works is by building something live. So in this video, we're going to be building an investment tracking dashboard that's going to look something like this. So it's going to have different graphs, different data displayed on it. And I'm not actually going to use any of those examples. I'm just going to let AI run wild and see what it can come up with. So that's going to be interesting. And by the way, if you haven't yet installed Antigravity, you can do so by heading over to antigravity.google and downloading that for your PC or Mac. And then you're going to have to go through the onboarding process, sign in with your Google account, and then you'll land on a screen that looks like this. So basically everything that you create with Antigravity is going to live inside of folders on your PC. So if I click on open folder, here's where I'm going to have an option to create a new folder. So if I just head over to documents, and then I've got a specific folder for Antigravity set up here. So let me just do new folder, and then let's call it, I don't know, my investment OS. It doesn't really matter what you call it. So let me just select this folder, open it like that. So at this point, this is where most people get a bit lost. So let me just walk you through exactly what is happening here. So over on the left-hand side, you've got Explorer, and this is where all of your files, code, prompts are going to live. So this is where you'll have access to all of them. And this middle section right here is where you'll be able to then preview the code, the prompts, and basically everything else. And over on the right hand side, we've got the agent window, and that's probably going to look a bit familiar to you guys. So this is where we can actually chat to our AI agent. So we've got the chat box. We can obviously upload different stuff to it. We can switch between planning and fast mode. We're going to do planning for now. And then obviously we've got a choice between different models. So we've got Gemini, Claude, and the GPT one as well. I'm probably just going to use Gemini for this one, but you can experiment with different models, see which ones give you the better output. So let's just jump into the example. So at this point, I could just start chatting to our agent through this window here, and it would probably do a decent job at creating a dashboard for us, but I think it's always better to come a little bit prepared for a task like this. So this is why I've put together a prompt for you guys. So it looks like this. The purpose of that is to ideate the idea for your app or workflow before you actually start chatting with Antigravity's agent. And by the way, I'll give you access to this prompt. So if you click on the link in the description, it should take you to the Google Docs document where you can copy and paste the prompt and use it on the AI model of your choice. I'm just going to use Gemini for this one. You can use any, to be honest. Claude is pretty good as well. So let me just send that off, and it should come back with, let's get started. Here we go. So we can now describe the idea. So let me just say, I'd like to create an investment dashboard in a minimalistic style with dark colors and a light blue color as well, that will have details of my investments. Okay, that's good to go. So let me just send that off. So at this point, AI will analyze my answer and come up with a list of questions for me so that we can tailor the final prompt even more. So as you can see, it's thinking at the moment. So let's give it a moment. And here we go. So as you can see, it will also go ahead and do specific research into what's currently possible for Antigravity. So as of Jan 2026, here's what is possible, basically. And it's going to give us a little technical reality check report, which you can obviously read through to get more of an understanding of kind of what is going to go into that. And finally, we've got the questioning phase. So this is where AI will go ahead and question us on specifically what we want. So I just went ahead and answered those questions, and after that, the agent should come back with the actual prompt that we can copy and paste into Antigravity. So let's just see here. So it looks like it gave us some more questions, but actually, let's just say proceed. Can you just proceed with what we've got for now, please? Don't forget to be nice and polite to your AI models, guys. Right, so we've now got the prompts that we can copy and paste. So let me just highlight all of this and copy and paste it into Antigravity. And it's really just as simple as this. So I'm just going to paste it here. And by the way, you'll notice that there is planning and fast mode. So planning mode basically means that you are going to be working on a project with an agent. So it's going to ask you questions, ask you to confirm stuff, and things like that. Whereas fast mode will actually allow your agent to just do everything for you without asking you any confirmation questions or anything like that. So it's always good to start with a planning mode so that you can see exactly the steps that the agent is taking. And let me just send that off. So right now it's going to work through the prompt and start generating files for us and everything else. And what's cool about it is that you can also see the thinking process of your agent as it's working through the tasks. And as you can see, it came back with a list of tasks and also the implementation plan. So at this point, you can read through it and make sure that you're happy with it. But what's also cool about Antigravity is that you can highlight specific parts of a file and add comments to it. So let me just highlight this one, for example, and then add comment. And at this point, you can say, change this to, something else. Maybe we want light mode instead of dark mode. So we can leave comments here, and then AI agent will go ahead and execute those. But at this point, I'm quite happy with the implementation plan. So let's just say, go ahead. And as the agent is working through the task, you will notice that it will ask you to accept or reject. It's like running commands. And you don't necessarily have to know what is happening here, but it's always good to kind of see what the agent is up to. So let me just accept this one. And as you can see, it went ahead and created a temporary file, the temporary folder, environmental folder, which is where all of the environmental things are going to be stored, like API keys and stuff like that. And also README. So this is basically a quick overview of what we are building. So let me just accept this one as well. And as you can see, there are a few more changes that we need to accept. So let me just accept all. We've now got a first version of our dashboard ready. The index HTML is where the actual dashboard lives. So we can open this HTML file in our local, but let's not do that yet, because what I want to show you now is the way you can supercharge the Antigravity even more, because it's really good as it is. If you gave it a basic instructions like I just did, it's gonna do a decent job at it. But there's one crucial thing that you can do to make it even better, and that is by using Claude Skills. So if you head over to GitHub and Anthropic, this is where you'll see all the skills that they have. So skills are basically the specific instructions and prompts that instruct Claude to perform specific tasks. So if I just open this folder, and by the way, I'm going to leave you a link to it as well, so you can easily find it. Under the skills folder, as you can see, we've got many different skills for different things. So like creating docs, PDFs, even Slack GIFs for some reason, but this is where they all are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy one of them and paste it into our Antigravity. And you might be thinking, how do I actually do that? Because there are no download options anywhere, right? There's a little trick that you can do to be able to access those. If you come over to your URL here and then change .com to .dev, what that will allow you to do is access the development site. And from here, we'll be able to download the folder and save it into our files. And by the way, the skill that we want is going to be the front end design. So this one right here. So let me just right click on it and click download. And from here, we can just save it in our files. So let me just go back to Mike Investment, save it right here. I just have to click allow and then save changes. And just like that, if I go back to Antigravity, the front end design folder is right here. And it's got skill MD. And by the way, .md is just stands for markdown. So it's just a way to represent text. So you'll notice there are those like hashtags here, stars all over the place. So those are the headings. The stars are the bolded words, for example, and there are a lot of other text formatting options here. So that's all it is basically. And just to show you as well, if you've got many different files here and you want to group them together, a good idea is to always create a folder. So let me just click on create new folder and I just call it, I don't know, brand guidelines, just like that. And then you can just save all of your brand guidelines or different files here. And by the way, you can upload anything that you want here, like images, PDFs, documents, just virtually anything that will give your agent a little bit more context into the exact project that you're working on. But the real magic of Antigravity is where you get the agents to work simultaneously on the same project. So to do that, if you head over to Open Agent Manager, it will open up this window here. And this is where you have access to all of your workspaces or folders. And this is where you can start a new conversation. So let me just select the one that I just created. So Investment OS. And this is where we can chat to our AI agent. So let me just change that to fast. And then let's just say, can you do a little bit of research into the best practices for building investment dashboards? And from here, what you can do as well is you'll notice that I've mentioned the brand guideline folder that I've just created. But if I just delete this, what you can do is type add. And then this is where you can mention specific files and folders within your workspace. So let me just find the brand guidelines. And I'll probably be fine just saying brand guideline folder, but I just wanted to show you the mention option. So let me just send that off. And what I can do at this point is I can start a new conversation and then talk to another agent. And if I do that, they're going to be working simultaneously. So you can imagine that that's going to save you quite a lot of time when you have multiple tasks that need to be done on a file. So I'll just let it do its own research. And if you click on it, you'll see the agent is now doing web search. So it's quite powerful that I can access the web as well. So let me just close this, let it do its own thing. And if I come over to the brand guidelines folder, you'll now have the research and guidelines here. So let me just accept this. So at this point, you can read through all of those documents and kind of make sure you're happy with them. But I think the quickest way to go about this is just ask our agent to create a dashboard again using the front end skill that we've got from the Claude, as well as the brand guidelines. So let me just say, using the brand guidelines and the front end design skill, can you redesign the dashboard to take into account everything that's mentioned in those folders, please? At this point, we should just change it back to planning. And let me just remove the brand guidelines and do add brand guidelines right here. And do the same with the front-end design skill, so that AI knows exactly what we mean. And that was just called skill.md, just like that. And let's see what we can do. So if you've got to this stage, well done. We are almost at the end. There are just a couple more things I want to show you that are going to be extremely useful when building custom dashboards and apps like this. So stick with me, we are almost there. So it went ahead and modified the implementation plan. And yeah, let's just give it a green light. So go ahead. So it's now going to go ahead and amend the HTML file for us. And we're just going to sit back and take a sip of coffee, I guess. It's taking its sweet time to think, isn't it? I mean, bro is overthinking more than me. It's not why I installed you. Come on. Right, so we've got the changes to the HTML file. So let me just accept them. And just like that, the design is now complete. So let me see here. I don't think it happened at this stage, but every time the agent encounters an error, it's going to try to correct itself, whether by changing the code or maybe running a different command, which is really, really cool. So that obviously you don't have to do it yourself. The agent is just going to do it for you. So it looks like we've got a little comment here on one of the files. So if I hover over this, it says determine the background painting area. So what I can do at this point is click on explain and fix. So every time you see those little yellow comments here, that means that there's potentially an error there that agent has flagged for you. So I just asked it to explain it and also fix it. And just like that, it came back with the solution. So let me just accept it. And it's also going to give you a little explanation if you want to find out more as to what happened. But as you can see, it identified the error and fixed itself, which is exactly what I talked about a second ago. Such a cool feature. Right, so let's take a look and see what our dashboard looks like at this point. So let me just ask this. Can you give me a command that I can use to open the HTML file with the dashboard? Let's send that off. So I've basically just asked it, how do I actually open the HTML? So it should come back with a command for us. So it actually wants to run it for us. So why not? Let's accept it. And as you can see, our dashboard looks like this. It's got the total balance, the monthly P&L. Looks like I'm down $2,000. Thanks, Gemini, I guess. And if I scroll down on here, I can see the asset allocation. So I've got stocks, crypto, ETF, and also some asset performance. And if I scroll even further down, I've got the holdings, and this is exactly what I wanted. So I want to see the split between different investment. But anyway, it looks beautiful. I'm really happy with it. And obviously what you can do at this point is you can ask the agent to make changes to your dashboard. So say you don't like the colors, all you have to do is come over here and just chat to your agent as if it was a colleague at work, which is really cool as well. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. So that means we're good to go. And the next step is to actually get that published to the real world so that everybody can access it. And the best way to do it is through a GitHub and one other platform that I'm going to talk about in a moment. So the way we go about this, guys, is by using what's called an MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol. And it's basically a way of the different tools and software to talk to each other. And to access that, if you click on the three dots in the top and then go to MCP servers, and this is where you can access many different MCPs. And as you can see, there are plenty of them. We've got GitHub, Notion, PayPal, and so many more. So right at the top, you've got the search MCP. This is where you can search for them if you want to do. But let me just go to manage MCP. So every time you install a new MCP, they will appear here. So I just deleted mine because I wanted to show you how you can set this up from scratch, basically. And if I go over to search MCP servers and type GitHub, we're going to have to connect the GitHub MCP. So I just gave that a click, and let me just click install. So at this point, it's going to ask us to provide the GitHub token. And to access that, if you come over to GitHub and then click on the profile picture in the top right and come over to settings, and then you have to scroll all the way down where you see developer settings. And then if you click on personal access tokens and fine-grained tokens, this is where we can generate a new token. So I've generated one previously, so let me just go ahead and delete this one. And this is where we can generate our token. So let me just click generate new token, and let's just give it a name. So just say anti-gravity. You can set the expiration date, and this is where you can set permissions. So what I usually do is I just add all of them and I restrict the permissions on the anti-gravity side. So let me just do that right now, and make sure that you also change the read only to read and write so that it's got access to literally everything that it needs. And then once you do that, just click generate token. Let me just save this here. So from here, if you head over to tools, this is where you can restrict the permissions. So what I would do is I would go through this list and just tick off everything that you don't think GitHub will need so that there are not too many tools active at the same time. But let me just leave it as it is for now. So if I go back to agent now, and let me just close this MCP. Yeah, it's cool. And let me just say, can you create a new GitHub repo with my dashboard? Let's send that off. And the agent will now go ahead and proceed with pushing that to GitHub. So let me just run this command. So after a little bit of a hiccup, we've now successfully created a GitHub repo. And if I come over to GitHub, as you can see, we've now got the investment OS right here. So now that we've taken the code from Antigravity to GitHub, the next step is to actually get that published. And for that, there are many different apps that you can use. And one of them is Netlify. So I'm now going to show you how you can import a project from GitHub to Netlify. And to do that, just head over to the website, create a free account, and click on import from Git. And at that point, it's probably going to ask you to sign to your GitHub account. And the next step is to select GitHub here. So this is our project. So let me just select this one. Here's where you can configure the project settings, but I'm just going to leave them as they are. And I'm just going to click deploy investment OS. And just like that, our project has been deployed. So let me just click this and open production deploy. And it looks like this. So it's now live on the web and everybody can access that. So that's it for today's video. I'm probably gonna get the dashboard of GitHub soon. So if you want to access the code and play around with it, maybe you want to use it yourself, I'm gonna leave a link to it below the video so you can access it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.